calling us from Washington, D.C., Independent Line. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you for C-SPAN. I lived in Georgia during the 2020 election, and, I didn't vote for Biden or Trump, but I do remember this same sort of rhetoric coming from Ms. Montgomery, trying to claim that, black voters were going to change sides to the Republican Party, and in 2020, I think the black percentage was like 6% for Trump. So I just find it funny that every 4 years, this same, kind of song and dance gets laundered by the Republican Party. And I think it's worth mentioning that, Ms. Montgomery, she was the former city director of Blexit, which is a far right, we're going to try and get, we're going to try and quote unquote free the plantation mentality is a literal quote of the organization of black voters. And it's founded by Candace Owens, who's a far right loon. So I just think it's disappointing when C-SPAN, platforms people like Michaela Montgomery or Sebastian Gorka, or constantly refers to the Washington Examiner or the Washington Times, which are quite literally far-right newspapers that are made up. I mean, the Washington Examiner, go look up who founds them. Next, you're going to be, referring to the Epoch Times. So,
all right, Colin, we'll get a response from Michaela Montgomery. Go ahead, Michaela.
First of all, I'm a huge fan of Candace Owens, and I went to my first Blexit event here in Buckhead back in 2019. And the speeches that I heard, the visualizations that were presented to me, I was like, wow, this is great. And when it comes to getting off the Democratic plantation, that's a real thing, and I don't know why somebody would feel like I, myself, would be offended by that. If everybody thinks the same, has been fear-mongered into thinking the same way, living the same way, then yes, that's a plantation. Because how in the world were so many slaves who outnumbered their slave masters continuing to be slaves? It happened because they were fearful of doing something different. So when we say that Democrats are on this Democratic plantation, specifically talking about black people, it's because yes, you guys are all blindly following a leader and you're scared to do something different. Additionally, to think that somebody like myself, who can clearly articulate their points, their opinions, their life experience that have led them to support certain candidates, it's very interesting that somebody would demean C-SPAN for having a guest like me on TV. There's plenty of people who think, act, and wish that a voice like mine had a bigger platform. So it's unfortunate that people like that feel like we should be silenced.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, today we're going to be talking about the lovely black woman, Michaela Montgomery, on her siding with Trump. And, of course, what you guys will all seem to know is that the white liberals being as racist and divisive as always, because that's what they are. They are racist, they are divisive, they don't like black people, and I'm going to be showing you that here today. In fact, I don't really have to show too much, because Michaela Montgomery does this with such class that is, I don't really have to intervene. However, you guys will see that the racism from the left, the racism from the Democratic Party is in full swing and strong, and I'll be showing you also evidence of this situation. So what we have here is Michaela Montgomery talking about the situation with what I showed you that clip with, on the plantation. Now, guys, she's not wrong in the terms of the Democratic Party was the plantation. They were the reasons why we're even in this situation to begin with, and how black people are on the plantation if we're going to talk about anything related to the Democrats. Because the Democrats were the evil ones, all right? That's just plain and simple. Now, I'm going to show you a few things here. Now, we have this here from, from one of the history areas where we'll talk about the plantation. So when this guy's talking about the plantation, right, he's talking about, the Republican Party is from the plantation, the Republican Party is trying to remove from the plantation, the blacks from the plantation and whatever, because, that's the reality. Well, it's true, because, again, we have this here saying, the Democratic Party identified itself as the white man's party and demonized the Republican Party as being Negro-dominated, even though whites were in control. So that's what we have here from the Democratic Party. If you guys still don't want to know about, still want to be realizing this, it says, after the Civil War, most white Southerners opposed radical Reconstruction and the Republican Party support of black civil and political rights. So, maybe you guys might be hearing this correctly, but it seems like Michaela Montgomery here has a head on her shoulders and thinking correctly here when they were on the plantation, right? Because obviously the Democratic Party has always been racist. They've always hated black people. And if you think this is like, oh well, Jerome, this was Jan reports. This was back in the 1870s, right? This was back, way in those days. It's not like that now. Well, incorrect. Because again, if it wasn't for the fact that the Democrats did lose for that fact, that was that the South remained a one-party region until the Civil Rights Movement began in the 1960s. Northern Democrats, most of who had prejudicial attitude towards blacks, offered no challenge to the discriminatory policies of the Southern Democrats. So, what we have here is the mere fact that Democrats are the plantation. And if the Democrats didn't lose in the 1960s for the Civil Rights Movement that was not being pushed hard by Republicans, black people would probably still be in chains, quite literally, or not have rights, because the Democratic Party wanted this to be a thing. They did not like black people. Even the so-called, what we would have, our president at the time was kind of forced. He didn't like black people. So, again, yes, the Democratic Party is the plantation. They are lying to people, and Malcolm X specifically said this. So that guy is obviously lying. He has no idea what he's talking about. He is the racist one that is, obviously going after Montgomery here for whatever apparent reason, because, to allow Montgomery to be on here on C-SPAN. What type of racist rhetoric is this, by the way? Like, what do you mean she has to be allowed on there? So would any other black person that fits your view is the correct one, and they're the people that should be towing to you. But when it comes down to a black person that has a different set of views that does not align with your own, they're the problem. They're the racist. They're the issue. I have a huge problem with this. It gets worse because we have another caller that I may believe is from Wisconsin, which is a huge issue. He's even more racist than this guy. Take a look.
Yes, I did not know that you knew Candace Owens. Because she's pretty much been outcasted by the right because of her stances on Israel. But anyway, you will have a good job at Fox News at some point. I guarantee you that. And the things you point out on the Democrats, their failures, you're absolutely right on some of the things. The Democrats fall short, but at least we try. The Republican policies are just the complete opposite. Okay, last thing I want to say, they're never going to let you in the club. Okay, and you like the movie Django, you are the character of Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know the exact terminology, but not Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tommy, or you're a complete sellout.
All right, and we'll go to Robert in...
Oh, I can't respond to that?
Oh, yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Because first of all, it sounded like that was a non-black person telling me that. So as a Democrat, that sounds pretty racial and pretty divisive. Next, it's very interesting that I, again, would be called names or be compared to fictional characters because of who I choose to support. Again, these people who are calling and making these derogatory statements about me, who I choose to support, are denying the fact that, again, who are you to tell me that my personal experience is invalid? I think that that's something that a lot of Democrats need to look within, because how have you tried? Kamala Harris is in office right now and has not tried to do anything about the border, has not tried to not tax people on tips, and has not tried to do anything about our failing education system. So everything that she's promising she can do for you on day one, she could do right now, but she's not trying to. So that's something to, for some Dems to take home.
Robert in Aurora, Indiana.
There it is, guys. There it is. The liberal racism that we all love and enjoy. And as I said, Montgomery took this as a class act. She handled this very, very well, because yes, this is how you need to deal with racists, right? This is how you have to deal with actual liberal racists, because obviously it says you're not going to be part of the club. Well, here's the thing. You're trying to force her, shame her into being into the Democratic club, because obviously if she's not a part of the Democratic club, this is the guys you resort to. I remember all the times when Clarence Thomas repealed the abortion, and every last one of you called them every racist term in the book. That's just the way you guys are. You guys are the racists. And what he's talking about here, the person that he's talking about from the person from Django, well, he's talking about Steven here. This is the guy played by Samuel L. Jackson. This is the guy because he only catered to, the white people or whatever. And no, she is not the same person. She is not the same person. She is not this Uncle Tom, which is what he named, which is black people just kissing up to the white man. No, that's not what she's doing here. So I don't know what you're talking about, and you obviously using the simple racist term that all you white liberals use in order to shame black people into being part of your party. And then, of course, on the flip side, he is also mentioning Uncle Ruckus. Love his character, by the way. But the difference between Steven and Uncle Ruckus is that Uncle Ruckus is like a gag character. He is a character that's supposed to be funny and make a meme out of. He's supposed to be a joke of a character. Steven is not really of a joke of a character. He's more supposed to be more realistic. And you to call this woman a Uncle Tom, pretty much I would say, a coon, is so racist that I don't know how to ever else to explain it. This is what you white liberals do. A good example. Here's what Malcolm X had to say about the white liberal.
To solve the problem. But you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. And you take him for a friend.
And that is one of my favorite Malcolm X quotes out of many. Because the point of the matter is that you have these white liberals coming out and trying to say they're on your side, they're for you, but of course, when you go against them, the racism really starts to spark. It really starts to show when you go against them. I know, because I was also on the other receiving end of this. I had a family member that tried to make me feel guilty of what the white people were doing to me back in the day, way back in the day. 3-4 years ago, give or take. And this is what they do. They do this to try to make a point. But their racism shows true when you go against their narrative. And that's just the reality. So, for everybody that wants to understand here, is that the white person, there is two different types. There is the white liberal, and then there is the white person. The white normal person, the middle ground, the person that, what have you. They're the normal ones. Now, I'm not going to go and say that racism is abound and it's crazy because that's not what I'm trying to make this video here. What I'm trying to make the point out of is that the Democratic Party has always been the racist party, the Democratic Party continues to be the racist party, and then the white liberals lied to you, deceit, saying, well, yeah, we're for the blacks, yes, we like you, for people of color, because they always have to say people of color, like, like, for some reason, like, they're back in the 1800s, for stuff like that, right? But people of color, that's what they use. To not make themselves seem racist, even though you can always take that as a racism type of topic. So again, this is the way that they do it. And the white liberal has continued to be racist, and they show it with their mouth. They show it. They're just deceiving you. And of course, it's really hard for a racist, it's really hard for them to not be a racist. Because eventually they're going to spew something that is completely asinine, completely insane. That's just the reality. And you have to realize this. The dumb part is that you see these racists and you just point them out, like I'm doing here. Like I said, I think Michaela Montgomery did an excellent job of refuting this racist. And it's funny because we have a Republican that's right after. I will put down the video down below so you guys can see the full thing. But he replied, he says sweetheart and all this stuff and what have you. And there is a huge contrast between the actual Republican person and then the white liberal. Because the white liberal is trying to tear her down. The white liberal is calling her names. The white liberal is calling her Uncle Tom. The white liberal is pretty much being the biggest racist in the book. Those are two stark differences. And I think you guys all know what I'm talking about. Especially the black ones, black people. If you're watching this, Know the way the white liberal talks to you compared to anybody else on the Republican side, and you will see the stark difference between the two. Just look. Don't listen to these people. They deceit. They lie. That's what they do. And they want you on that plantation so they can keep in power. That's just reality. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care my friends.